Hello and welcome back to the ministry, and today we're doing freshmen. The Lord gave me this word 2 weeks ago. He gave it to me right after he might have actually given it to me before he gave me graduation, but I think he gave it to me right after he gave me graduation. And this is how I know the Lord wanted me to do this way. The episode of the show that I watch that usually is giving me a lot of my rhema, this particular episode, I haven't seen it in 20 some odd years. And I'm not kidding. A lot of these episodes from the show that I used to watch when I was a kid, I recently have watched the episode. But this episode, he gave me this off the dome. Meaning, he gave me the rhema from this episode off my memory from having watched it so much 20 years ago. Because I used to watch this show repetitively, and it went off in 2003. I probably stopped watching the reruns for it somewhere between 2004 and 5, when its counter spinoff went off. So, I haven't watched anything in at least 18 years. And this episode was not an episode that was a staple go-to. If I'm going to put a tape in, DVD in, let me watch this episode. So the episode that this came from was off the top of the dome, and the Lord gave it to me in memory. And as I was going through the memory, he gave me the word. So this is something God wanted. And I think he wanted me to do it today because he gave me a dream last night about visiting a college campus. And that's what that episode was about, becoming a freshman in college. So, let's begin. I want to preface this by saying this. The reason I didn't want to do this episode is because of the fact that I'm not there yet. But this is a warning, in a way. It's a warning as to, how do I put it? It's a warning as to what you may go through. Take it as it comes, but I'm giving you things to look out for when you cross over. And that's what this is. This is that preparatory information that when you cross over into whatever the Lord's called you to, new job, marriage, kids, whatever it is, you may start to see these things. And the reason it fits in with the words that I've been releasing is because in the words, we've crossed over the marriage threshold. And this is what you're going to start to see following. Okay? So, follow with me after I've given you your juxtaposition in the first 4 minutes of this video. Let's begin. Freshman. You're in a dark place. How many of y'all, raise your hands if you're in a dark place right now? It seems like nothing's moving, nothing's shifting, nothing is progressing forward. It seems like the calm before the storm, the stillness. It's funny because Nina for, I think it's Bold in Christ, she released a word a few days ago, or was that last night, that I saw the title cross my YouTube, and it said, what was it? Yea, though I walk through the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. Some of you are walking through that place, the in-between. I remember an episode of The Real many years ago that all the hosts were sitting there talking about faith is that place in between the fulfillment and the praying for the thing. It's that shadow of death. The death of the things in which, and how many words have I said? There are things about us that have needed to die. We're going through our final death process. The things, those types of things. And we're still in that dark place before we fully shift into the new. Okay? And catch this. Just before I did this, I had completed a 4-day fast. I don't do 4-day fasts. I do 3-day fasts. I do 36-hour fasts. I don't do 4 days. Okay? Let's make that clear. And it gotta be something special. God will extend me into a week, 13 days, 16 days. 4 is not something I do. It's an odd number for me. Yes, it's even, but it's an odd number for me to fast for. Okay? That's almost like an extension. So, follow this. Lazarus came out of his tomb on the 4th day. And around that time, if I'm not mistaken, I was seeing the 144. Take off your grave clothes. When he came out, it was past the point of his ability to supposedly have survived that situation. A lot of us have been held in a resting stasis where we've been forced to rest in the point in time where we thought manifestation should have happened. We went through warfare intensely and we've been forced into a rest. That rest is to prepare us to walk into the thing. It was actually God's holding pattern. If you remember me doing the word holding pattern, go back and look for holding pattern. And in it, you kind of are coming out of that hold. I'm hearing 24-hour, 72-hour, 48-hour hold. I'm hearing a hold. It was a hold. You were in a hold. Some of your hours were days. I'm also hearing right now Revelations, where the woman ran into the wilderness and was held in a dry place 1,630 days. Some of you have been held in a holding pattern for a period of time, and some of you are past due the point of exit. Why? Because it needed to look dead. All the way dead. There ain't no way you coming out of this, man. So when God rises it up, it's going to look like, what? Yeah. And this brings us into God is preparing to walk you into the blessing. I'm hearing and seeing Joseph. When Joseph was taken out of the prison, they'd been forgot he was in there. Remember? The butcher and the baker, they were in there with him. And he told the butcher, hey, you go and you tell them I'm in here. And they're like, he was like, oh yeah, I'm going to tell them. How long did it take him to finally come back and say, oh yeah, here. Here. He in the jail. the guy you need in order to determine that dream thing, he in the jail. I kind of forgot. He told me 2 years ago to tell y'all that he was down there. Yeah. But what happened? They didn't take him out immediately from the jail because I know he was stank, funky, haggard looking. Probably all his hair had grown out. Even in the cartoon version, he had long beard, hair, everything was all over his head. What'd they do? They then changed his clothes. Awake, awake, O Zion, put on your pretty garments. I had a dream. How much does she want me to share? I had a dream that I was going through a closet. In the closet was 3 garments. I'm not going to tell you what the garments look like because that's between me and the Lord. But each garment had a representation. God is preparing to change your garments. Oh, okay, God, I hear you. He's going to change your title first. When he changes your title, your garments are going to automatically change. The title is going to bring the first change of the garments. You know what that first change is for some of you. For some of you, it is marriage. But there's going to be a title change, whether it be a promotion, whether it be whatever it is. It's a very particular change. It's going to be an elevated wardrobe, meaning wherever you are now, it may not be a 1 step up. It may be 3, 4, 5 steps up. Meaning it may be a tax bracket change. Some of you are going to get careers, jobs, positions. Some of you are going to change educational positions. But these garments, I will tell you this much. One was a white garment. One was a white garment with gold in it. The last was a suit garment that looked like iridescent gold. You are going to elevate in your clothing, and the clothing is dictating what it is, the position in which you are transitioning into, which you will be the freshman in that position. Whether it's the job, the opportunity, the new door, whatever that new door is, the new relationship, whatever it is, you are coming in fresh. Okay? So because of that, it's going to be a up level for you. You're going to need to dress the part of where you are going. God's been showing me for a long time my garments are going to change. I'm like, good God, wait, whenever you're ready. I actually left behind a ton of great garments. But blessed be to Jesus, anything the enemy steals, I get 7-fold back. It will be returned to me, okay? So, you're being ushered into your elevation. Whatever that opportunity is, whatever that title change is, will usher you into it. So, you are coming into a new plane. By coming into this elevation, your ceiling just became your floor. When you graduated from your previous season, you broke past the ceiling of that season. Now you are on the floor of the new season. So you are to observe the landscape. When I went to New York, that first month, God had me under extreme, observance. I could not interact with but so many people. I was not allowed to go in certain places. I was to sleep where he said sleep. I was to do exactly what he said do during that season. Why? Because I was scoping out the land. I was to travel the route in which he said and where I was directed, and not past that point. So, in this, you are going to need to do research. When I was in that season, I had to do a spirit map. Oh, some people would say, what's a spirit map? The apostle I used to follow said, go through, if you're going into a new city, if you're going into a new state, if you're going into a new place, I suggest with all that's in you, go do a spirit map. Now, some might say, ooh, woo, woo, woo. Is that a woo, woo thing? No, You're doing this biblically. You are literally going and checking every spiritual what have you in your area. It's a very smart thing to do, matter of factly. It's a series of questions that will lead you into researching. God led me to do this, matter of factly, just before I had my breakthrough in my living situation after I got to New York. For 3 days, he had me in the library doing this spirit map. I had to research the city I was in, the counties, the peninsulas, what went on, the history, all of it. Every single thing. I had to do the research on it. I even mapped out. I took a pencil, they had a map in that library, and in the room I was in, I could go over to the map, and I did a charcoal trace of the map of specifically that city that he had me and told me that I was to have land in. I outlined a map of it, went back, went through the books, found out that it was graveyards there, which means God knows how many spirits. There was the Indians, when the Indians used to have settlement in that area, they literally would murder and create totems. So you had that battling. No wonder it was a whole bunch of spiritual stuff going on. These are things that you're going to need to know, because if you're going to go into spiritual warfare in whatever city that God's sending you in, honey child, you best to be prepared. Oh, you thought this was a joke, you thought this was, I'm on here for my health, I'm on here for just air. No, I done did this. I went and I did the research. I found out certain things, certain principalities, certain gatekeepers, certain things. Oh, you thought maybe you need to start doing that now. Figure out where God's telling you that you're supposed to go, and you start doing the spiritual outline now. So you can start praying over that place now. So you can start praying over that space now. I used to know there's a minister, Reckons McKinley. He said that he had such an anointing on him. He went and drove. He was driving to a conference that he needed to go to, and he said, oh, I'm going to just drive there. Certain cities he drove through, because he was just driving through them, the principalities in that area made him sick as a dog. He had to wait until his stomach settled enough for him to pray and say, look, Whatever principalities, gatekeepers, what have you, I'm just passing through here. Let me through here. I ain't staying. I am leaving. When he let it be known he was not staying there, that's when the warfare let up. Oh, you think this is a joke? He was sick as a dog driving down there because of the fact that he forgot to pray to tell the spirits in that area, I'm not staying here. I could tell you stories. My coach, she had to drive through I-95 headed, no, it was the I-10 headed between Louisiana and Atlanta. 2 people that she knew went through that. One, when they were driving down that I-95, they went through a snowstorm. Another person went through, all their lights on their car went off in the middle of the night, pitch black. They literally her kids had to use their cell phones. Because the principalities in that area, and even she said that when she was driving through there, it was a ungodly, heavy, oppressive fog that came through in the middle of the night. And she was exhausted when that happened. And she had to drive through it. As well as there was something going on with the cop cars where they were literally trying to catch her and stop. Somebody was jumping ahead of her car and trying to stop to catch her, either in the speed or to get her to have an accident. When I tell you, it was all kinds of weird stuff that was happening. When I say you need to pray, don't sit up there and think, oh, I'm just going to this other city and it's going to be cool. She got on a cruise ship traveling international waters. Certain places, the Lord said, don't you even get off the boat. When the boat docked for people to get off the boat, to be able to go into certain countries, to shop, to view, to... Lord said, don't you get off this boat. Because she went through warfare just being on the boat. The whole boat rocked to a level, and it was a known thing that people were on the boat with her. Sound familiar? Just saying. On the boat with her. And they said, this is the rockiest ride we have ever had on a cruise ship. We ain't never experienced this much rocking. Why? She was traveling into international waters. The principalities and powers in them waters, them marine spirits, wasn't no joke. I just thought I would sit that there. When I say research your territory, research your territory. I ain't trying to scare you. I'm trying to prepare you, okay? You have elevated. You now have to observe your landscape. You've researched the territory. Everywhere your feet tread shall be yours. Because God goes before you and is your rear guard. There's no need to be fearful. Just be alert and aware to what's going on and how it's going on around you. Do not get caught up in shiny object syndrome. 2 things I want to warn you of. In this season, we're coming into Christmas and Thanksgiving. People are going to want to give gifts. You better pray about the people that are trying to give you gifts in this season. You are covered by the blood of Jesus Christ, but let the Lord tell you whether you should keep or accept gifts in this season. Because of the fact that the enemy is trying to take whatever ditch effort that he can in order to stop you from moving forward in this season. And some of that might be by giving you a cursed object. My coach told me about this about 4 years ago. I had at one particular point, I was having some delay in finance, and somebody had given me a bag that I thought was a Coach bag. It actually was a knockoff. How do I know? When I took it out of the closet that I was keeping it in, it was inside of something that was hot. And because it was warm, the material rubbed off. So, with that having occurred, it created a level of the material just falling apart. This happened to me twice. I had gotten 2 bags that were like that. I never forget my friend. She could not stop laughing when I got the second bag. So it may be a cursed object. Be forewarned. Check your objects, because a cursed object can at the very least stall you from moving forward. Stephanie P released a video recently. She said, be careful, because people may want to give you a peace offering. Your enemies, they might come back saying, oh, I'm going to give you this gift, because they don't really want to apologize to you, but they want to give you a peace offering. You shouldn't really worry about it being cursed, because during this season, God is breaking off all curses, so the object should be clean. But if the Lord tells you before you receive any gifts this season, pray over it. Pray over it. Pray over it. Pray that if there is a gift that is meant to come to you unsuspectingly, that if it is accursed and is going to cause a problem for you, that it never reach your door. That only the things that the Lord wants you to have reach your door and reach your hands. Just be safe than sorry. These are things that will pop up to become distractions at this time, because shiny objects. Do not get distracted, okay? If God did not tell you to touch it, you don't go there. Meaning, if there's something that has been recurring in this season, if God didn't tell you to go yet, a lot of us are feeling restless and antsy. We feel like, God, you're saying that it's our time. God, you're saying it's suddenly season. God, you're saying we shifted into a new thing. We have spiritually shifted into our new seasons, but we have yet to see the manifestation of the thing in which God is showing us that is about to manifest into our lives in this season. Yes, you are a freshman. God is taking this intern time. It's almost like a spiritual time lapse. I call it a spiritual time lapse. It's like an influx when time overlaps itself, where spiritually, is that why I've been watching Back to the Future stuff lately? I wonder if that's why I've been watching Back to the Future stuff lately. But you know how our year changed in the spirit back in September. It was mid-September, I believe it was. And mid-September, we're waiting till the end of this year, but we're in a time lapse where the time folds over itself. And time is going to accelerate, but in this, we may feel like we're in, I'll tell you what it is. I used to do consecrations before. And when I used to do consecrations before, the 24 hours after my consecration or me coming out of the consecration, there was a delay in manifestation. Meaning if there was an answer I was seeking, meaning if there was some type of result, it was almost like time slowed down and caught up with itself within 24 hours. Some of y'all, if you know that this happens to you, please write in the comments, because I thought that was just me. But time would slow down for 24, and I literally would feel like I was up against a spiritual wall in my day-to-day that first 24 hours outside of that experience. And then everything would start moving normally 24 hours later. That's what it's like. So a lot of us feel like, okay, God's saying we need to go. God's saying we're shifting into this. God's saying this is going to happen. God's saying all this stuff is being told to you. Dr. Jolynn Whitaker did a video the other day, and she was saying, how did she say this? She said, God will show you in a season of elevation into your next season that he's preparing to open doors. You will begin to see, how did she phrase it? God will start to show you new things that you haven't seen before, have access to, but you have not walked into yet. All of this type of stuff. So you'll start to see these things. And God will position you with his God GPS system, because this is a new place and you have to pay very close attention to his direction as you are going across this new territory, new campus. Okay? I'm going to leave you right here because of the fact that I'm running out of space right here. And we're going to come back in the next one.